What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another e-commerce conversations. I hope all is well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the Internet from me, it's you. Just you and me, guys. I got a little bit different content for you, kind of YouTube style here. It's the 5 different ways that I think you can add margin to your e-commerce business. I was on e-commerce fuel the other day, and I've noticed a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling currently. And a lot of that really kind of boils down to their profit margins and cash. And at the end of the day, business is about making money and making the numbers work. And if the numbers aren't working, you're not going to be successful. So I want you to think about these 5 different ways. Maybe some are going to be more applicable to you, some aren't, but hopefully it helps give you ideas and directions on how you might be able to find margin in your products and your business. The first thing I want you to do, and tip number 1, or the reason number 1, is going to be a reset of your mind about your business. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. There's a lot of success stories out there. There's a lot of people telling you how to grow and build a business, myself included. The way I believe in building a business is going to be the bootstrapped way, with a prioritization on freedom and low drama over growth and money. So at the end of the day, how I make decisions is going to be different than maybe someone like Sean Frank with Ridge Wallet, who's trying to grow a $1 billion business. What I'm trying to build is a free lifestyle that allows me to do the things that I want to do with the people that I want to do. When you have this reframe in your brain, what that allows you to do is really niche down. Because if you're trying to chase a $1 billion business, then sometimes you think about building a really large market audience or tackling a larger market audience. You're not allowing yourself to niche down and focus on a very specific person. When you focus on a very tight niche, what that allows you to do is potentially build a very high margin, low stress, profitable business that maybe you're only making $1 million, $2 million a year, but it's tight, it's lean, it's a smaller SKU count. So I want you to think about how you're building the business, the products you're offering, and how you're communicating to your customers. Are you communicating to your customers in a way that is really targeted to that specific value prop of your business? Or are you talking to them in like broad generalities? When you think about your products and you're developing products, I want you to have a goal of having at least 90% gross margins. So that means if we have a good here, like the Beardbrand comb, beautiful comb, I would recommend you grab one. If I want to sell this for $20, ideally, I'm going to pay $2 for this comb. And then from there, you're going to have so many other costs that get added onto that. You're going to have your costs to have it shipped to you. You're going to have the costs to market it. You're going to have your returns in there. But when you start with 90%, you really give yourself a lot of flexibility. 90%, you can offer a discount. You can do some promotions to bring people on board. You can bundle and save. There's so much more flexibility with creativity by having a product that has 90% margins versus maybe one that you're paying 40% of the cost. Then you're really hamstringing yourself. Those are going to be opportunities for certain industries, but those are going to be more commodity-based businesses where you're making your money at a significant scale. So unless you have the capital reserves to pump a ton of money into a business to get it to that level where you have that kind of scale, I would highly recommend hitting those 90% margins. Now, hitting them is hard. It's not easy to do, and you're in a competitive marketplace. So these next 4 items are going to talk about how you can really kind of help step your business up among the crowded space and stand out. First thing, before we get into the marketing side of things, I want you to think about tactic number 2, which is going to be your operational improvements. I've got a small list of operational improvements here that you should be doing as an e-commerce operator on a regular basis. And if you're not currently doing these things, you are leaving money on the table. The first thing is shipping costs is going to be a huge part of your P&L. And if you're not quoting FedEx against UPS, against DHL on a yearly basis, then you are leaving money on the table. That alone, it should be a regular yearly process where you basically switch between FedEx and UPS every year to ensure that you are getting your best rates. Some of you guys are working through a 3PL or paying markups. I think the same expectation should be held with your 3PLs and having that conversation with them, asking them what they're doing to lower their shipping rates for the next 12 months. Speaking of your vendors, your partners, what you should be doing is, and it's easy to myself included, it's easy to not do these things, but you got to be quoting out multiple vendors for items. I used to be a salesperson in a commercial printing company, and when I knew that my customer was quoting us out, I was a lot more aggressive on the price point. And you should have that same expectation with your vendors. You know, like this business and what you're doing, you need to be a steward to obviously yourself. This is the big reason why you're doing it, but you need to be a steward to your employees and a steward to your customers, because you can't serve your customers if your business goes out of money. It goes out of business because you don't have enough money. So you're not a steward to your manufacturers or your vendors. You must shop them and ensure that you are getting not just the best price, but the best product, the best value, the best timeframes, everything. There is always going to be a little bit of give and take on what you need in your business. For example, in my business, we're a smaller company, so lower MOQs is something that's pretty important to us, where I would much rather work with a company that could do our smaller batch size, pay a little bit more, but I'm not going to have to tie up a ton of capital in inventory that could potentially go bad. Now, again, it's a math problem. For me, let's say I could order 10,000 units or 5,000 units. If the 5,000 units cost $5 and the $10,000 unit or 10,000 unit cost me $2, then I should just go with the 10,000 units and have extra inventory rather than paying that margin. So don't forget to be, don't make sure that you're not just so singular focused on one attribute that you lose sight of the forest. Another operational improvement that I would challenge you on is think about what can you remove? What is unnecessary in your business? In my business, it's pretty common to put our products in a box, but if we're selling primarily direct to consumer, that box is more of a retail play than a direct to consumer play. And what I can do is improve our unboxing experience, where that secondary box where I'm paying 50 cents or $1 on a product isn't really necessary. So by making some tweaks like that, you can kind of say, hey, do I need this item? Is this necessary? Never, as Elon says, and I know Elon's a controversial figure right now, but the best part is no part. Are there ways that you can simply exclude items that are currently included? Don't be afraid to challenge your norms of your industry and what your product and what your product offers to the market. Another less desirable way to improve operational costs is going to be shrink inflation. As you guys know, you make your product like us, we have an oil, we can make the packaging a little bit smaller. Unfortunately, at our size, that's not going to be a big savings for us, but for some companies, that may be something a little different. I just had the Montana knife guys on board. You know, let's say they're starting with a blank sheet of steel, and on this steel at a 7-inch blade, they can fit 10 knives on it, and then at a 6-inch blade, maybe they could fit 12 knives on it. And then, using the same amount of material, they're able to get 2 more knives out of it. These are some kind of ways that you can kind of think about. You can add margin slightly through that shrinkflation strategy. Again, your top customers are not going to be pleased with this. Nobody likes to pay the same amount of money and get less, but there's a reason that brands have been doing this for, as long as I've been living, for 45 years. Continuing on, the operational improvements is going to be your manufacturing improvements. I kind of talked about making sure you're getting multiple quotes. One thing that you can also do is think about skipping the distribution channel. So going directly to the manufacturer could be an opportunity based on your current volumes. If you are not currently already doing that. For instance, we source bottles all the time, and bottles can be sourced directly from China from a lot of different places. China might have a 25% tariff on that. We're already paying a 20% profit margin on the distributor, so might as well cut out the distributor's 20% profit margin going to the Chinese source directly and hopefully saving our money. The downside is if you're a small brand like us or super niche, then you might not have that ordering volume to justify the cost. It is going to be an opportunity to you, but again, it always comes down to making sure those numbers work. And the last thing that I would recommend, and probably avoid it as much as you can if you are seeking out freedom, but you can bring manufacturing in-house. One of my guests on the show was Josh Paulson with Quality Cage. They make chinchilla cages. So the market is serving primarily cats and dogs. He's been able to carve out a very specific niche to chinchillas and small rodents, where he can offer an incredible selection of products because he's able to build those cages on demand. So having that manufacturing process not only gives him a competitive advantage, it also helps him lower or improve his margins, as he only needs to keep wire on hand, keeps his fulfillment costs down, his capital down, and then builds on demand. So when you build and manufacture your own products in-house, you are going to be able to find optimizations that your vendors either do not want to find or do not care to find, because frankly, they're trying to serve 20 different brands or multiple brands equally and evenly. So the best way to produce your product is always going to be in-house if you have the resources to dedicate to operational excellence. Now let's talk about we'll switch from operations into marketing, and this is kind of like the quasi operations / marketing, which is going to be your customer experience. I think that kind of can go in the operational side, or it can go in the marketing side, depending on how you establish your business. But within the customer experience side, there's a lot more you can be doing. So many just put up a website, a PDP, product development page, or what is it, a product landing page. And that's all you do. You have some ads, you drive people there, but there's so much more you can do. And you're probably not investing much into this. A couple of examples are, with our products, we're about helping people love the man looking back at him in the mirror. So when they do that, when we think about that, we think about how do we help them in that. And we've done style consulting in the past, where we have a phone number they can text, they can send photographs of themselves, their style process, and then a team member will give them guidance and advice on what kind of hairstyle will work, or how they can communicate to the barber, give them some photo inspiration for what will work. A little bit of time and expertise to your customers can go a long way in building not only loyalty, but word of mouth referrals, and also help communicate with them a larger range of the products you carry and how they might be able to use them in their own routine. Again, I think that's going to be applicable in pretty much any business. Like, you can always offer more expertise and guidance to your customers. One company that I think does this very well, and I don't even know the company name. I think it's Guitar World, but it's some kind of guitar company. They will proactively call you up on your phone, and they will just be there to answer any kind of questions that you may have. And they'll do it on a regular basis. And it's funny, I've talked to musicians before, and they've been on Guitar World for 10 years, 15 years, and they continue to accept those calls because those companies are always just providing value and they want to be there. And then there may be a time that they're ready for that new guitar or that big musical purchase. They're going to go to Guitar World because that will be top of mind, and because they have the trust established from all the help and guidance that they've gotten over the years. So you can be proactive. You can pick up the phone and call your customers. In fact, we did that. We've done some unique gifting to our top customers. Is another way to build margin, is just little notes of gratitude, little birthday cards. We work with Postpilot to send out a happy birthday card to our customers. We identified our top 1,000 customers, and we sent them all a little Yeti mug with the Beardbrand logo. If someone's spending thousands of dollars with you, then a little $20 gift can go a long way into maintaining that relationship, building that relationship, and again, building that word of mouth, which is, in my opinion, the best type of marketing that you can have out there. The One more idea along customer experience is going to be limited edition drops that are only available to top customers. So this is incentivizing people to become loyal customers, giving them access to items that maybe they couldn't get publicly. Or what you could also do is limited edition events. So put on a banger event, something very special, and only access is to those customers. You should let everybody know about it. So it's, hey, hit these thresholds, you'll get access to this, to reward and loyalty and incentives. That will help with your margins as your cost for acquisition. If you think about it, like if I could put on a banger party for $5,000, and take photographs of it and share photos and get people hype and get people connected and build a community and a culture to the business that didn't really exist before, I'm leveling up the brand. I'm creating vibe. I'm creating energy around this company. Or what I could do is I could buy a bunch of ads on Meta that I would spend, let's say I spend $5,000 a week on Meta. It's like, okay, well, I could take away a week's worth of ads and reallocate it to something really unique, really grand that connects our customers and creates a great story. So I want you to think about, like, are you going to see a specific return on it like you would ads? No, you're not. And that's the risk in building a business and trying to elevate your brand, is you have to prepare your mind and your mindset to do things that are not going to be trackable, to do things that may be risky and you may never know the results of it. But whenever you put yourself closely tied to your customers, you will be better off, if nothing else other than hanging out with your customers, talking to them, getting feedback, getting inspiration for new ideas, allowing them to connect and solidifying those relationships and their loyalty to the brand and to the products and the routines. There's just so much value into bringing people together. So think about that, especially the more niche you have. The more niche of a brand you are, just think about how strong that unity will be. From there, you can build something like a Facebook group, or I use Discourse as a forum to be able to connect these people online after they've connected in real life. Now, the fourth way to build margin into your brand is to elevate your brand. And this is a hard thing to do, I think, for a lot of people who are used to, or who doesn't have those skills come easily to them, because elevating your brand requires you to have good taste. And frankly, not everyone has good taste. And it's especially hard if you don't have good taste to know which providers have good taste. Because I can see it's easy to say, hey, well, and some of the things I'm going to say, for example, you need to upgrade your photography and your website design. Things matter, like your fonts. The fonts that you choose matter, especially on e-commerce. The photography matters. Is every photo exactly the same placement? Or, something as simple as, let's say you have a bunch of combs, and then they're all listed here, and then here, and here, kind of not squared up evenly on the photograph. That is going to be a detriment to your brand. So having the ability to be focused enough and detail-oriented enough to drive perfection on your landing page, and making sure that your fonts align, and making sure that your photography speaks to the customer you're trying to speak. Do you want warm colors? Do you want kind of moody lighting? Do you want bright lighting? What kind of models are you using? Who are the people in the photographs? Are you including, one thing that I've noticed lately for premium brands is they don't even bother including reviews on the website. Is that something that you feel comfortable with in elevating your brand? Is the idea that maybe you don't even have reviews at all? Maybe you just focus on, your own brand, and you have that confidence behind your brand. Other things that you can do is elevate your premium, or elevate the materials that you're using. So, again, it goes back down to a math problem. Like, are you competing with 1,000 other competitors in a crowded, large space? Or can you really go after a smaller niche who values your product and they just want the best. They want the best experience. They want the nicest packaging. They want the best service. Can you find those items, elevate your brand, elevate your materials to build that margin? I think when you think about products, like at the end of the day, that is going to be the answer to a lot of problems, is like your product has to be exceptional to the people who want to buy it. It has to stand out on its own as a very unique item that your customers feel like without it, their life would be worse off. So how do you make products that make your customers better off? I say this with the caveat, knowing there's a lot of different businesses. There's a lot of different items you can produce. There's novelty brands out there who make gag gifts and stuff like that. So, knowing your customer and knowing what they're looking for is going to be the best way to do that. If you have a customer base who is not so design oriented, photography oriented, maybe they're more technically oriented, you may be doing a disservice by trying to elevate your brand. They may trust you less because they think that they're paying for marketing and photography rather than the technical aspects of the business. So I'm thinking like, let's say like an electrical boards or something. Like if I'm buying some kind of a transistor or something like that, I would expect it to be more catalog oriented, kind of straight to the point with a ton of tech specs and really, like clearly written out, no special fonts, anything like that. So understanding your customer gets back to the root of, is it actually going to be beneficial to elevate your brand through photography? That being said, high quality photography is always going to be good. It's just making sure that the style of the photography, the style of the writing is on point with your customer base. Another way you can elevate your brand is through celebrity endorsements, reaching out to influencers and content creators who represent your brand and who you're trying to reach, your audience, and getting them on board. This is building a completely new program, and if cash is tight, might be a more challenging project to embark upon if you are going that direction. However, having a third party endorse your item, someone who's built a lot of trust in their audience, can be an incredible opportunity for you. And of course, you want endorsements that are authentic and true. So, think about from a major standpoint, like if Joe Rogan absolutely loves your product, or Andrew Huberman in the podcast space, and they can send glowing endorsements of your items, you're going to be that much more leveled up in the mind of a consumer. So that gives you a little more flexibility and margin to work with, because one, the awareness can become a lot cheaper. And there's ways you can do this without cash. If you can find a celebrity endorsement who aligns with you guys, maybe you can do a commission, or maybe you can do a limited edition product. Maybe they're already self-made and they're like you, they value freedom and doing cool things more so than they value capital. There's a lot of people out there from the celebrity side that is like that. And if you make their life easy, if you don't ask them for too much, there could be opportunity out there. So don't be afraid to look at your customer list and see if you have had any customers that are celebrities. That's a great place to start. The fifth way to build margin into your business is going to be on your checkout process. A couple of ideas specifically is a premium return experience. So think about it. If you're in Shopify or you're building your checkout cart, you usually have your standard shipping or your premium shipping, your FedEx shipping. I think it's like Return Logic or one of these companies that basically they take a percentage of your sales and by offering insurance packaging, basically. I wouldn't specifically sell like insurance. I think that legally kind of gets in the way of things, but you can add like a, quote unquote, like white glove type of experience where if they buy this, it's going to be a no questions asked return policy or easy return policy, or, so they can add it on for $1 or $2. And maybe the service you provide is they get access to tickets first. So their order gets tagged. And if they ever submit an order first, they're the first people to get replied to. or maybe maybe it's not cost beneficial for you to return products if they're unhappy. So you let them keep it if they order this product, but if they don't order the experience, then maybe they have to return it. So there are things like that where you can think about, how can I provide a nice items or nice experience to our customers and put a little bit of productizing behind it. And those are usually going to be pretty high margin items, anything that's a service. The other thing you can do is think about your customers, and are there any kind of accessory items that maybe aren't to the core that you could add? So for instance, for us, it's going to be tweezers. If they're on our cart, I can offer them, tweezers for $10 that are, an elevated tweezer, something nicer than they get at a CVS or a Walmart. Only cost me, let's say it cost me $1, sell it for $10. And then right there is just $9 a margin with a customer that I didn't have to work too hard on. Someone already on the store, and just driving that order value up through small things. So the inspiration behind that is in your grocery stores at the checkout aisle, when they have, all the gums and candies and things like that. You can do the same thing in your cart, where you have low price items that are high margin right at checkout that they can just add in there for a nominal amount. So when business gets tough, these are the things that you need to do. You have to think about how your numbers work. If you do not have a strong grasp on your numbers, if you do not have a strong grasp on how much it costs to acquire customers, what your margins are, it might make the best sense to start working with a fractional CFO, or hire a CFO if you're at that level, to really help guide you and tell you what you should be speaking. And at a certain point, sometimes you just have to say no, just like, this product is going to cost too much. I don't think I can sell it for that 90% margins. Like, this product is going to cost me $20 to make. I can't sell it for $200. It's a coffee mug. That's not an item that I can sell. What are items out there that my audience and my niche would really value that there aren't currently many options for? I also want to wrap it up by saying every item out there has a brand or a customer that is selling obnoxiously expensive goods. Think about that. Wallets, shoes, in my space, like beauty care products. There's a brand, Creme de la Mer, and they sell $300 for a facial moisturizer. And you can get a Nivea cream for $12. And, there's a negligible difference in the performance of the $300 cream versus the $14 cream. Yet there are people who want that. They want that experience. They want the glass bottle. They want to be able to tell their friends that they use it. And maybe that product does really work great for their skin type. The same is true like cameras, or maybe they're professional, and the professional use case for that item really justifies that additional price to that item. So don't be afraid to figure out how you can make the most expensive product, and what would the most expensive product in your marketplace look like? How would it serve the customers? If you didn't have to make any sacrifices to your customers' buying experience, what would that look like? How can you deliver that to your customer? Just some ideas. I hope you guys are able to lower your costs, improve your revenues, and make 2025 the best year ever. It's been challenging for me. So we've been doing a lot of these things over the past couple of years, where we've been working to drive down our costs operationally. And I think we're starting to see the benefits of all those efforts. Maybe you're not rolling out as many new products, but those operational improvements, those bidding out of multiple vendors is going to help your business in the long run and today. As always, thanks for listening. Cheers. Keep on growing.